Hat and glasses. The one who's been interrupting you. You're up.
I'm very pro-union, and I like the idea that we are having a union and for rights for the working people. I think that's very good. I do not think it's correct, though, that the union organization for this co-op stole a database and started their basis on stealing. And I would really like to know who stole it, and because they are a thief, I'd like them fired
Thanks for your
for
input.
stealing.
I think they should come forward and just say who they are right now.
I don't, okay,
Yeah, I'd like
you're
them
not
to
on
come
staff.
forward.
You're next. Are you?
Raise your hand. We're on the rules. Raise your hand if you got a question.
Nobody's
Are you
going to admit
finished?
to the theft?
Not all workers are present, by the way.
You can request that, that doesn't mean that somebody has to do it.
Why, I understand. If they're too little to.
Just let the 2 minutes roll out. Fine.
I want to take us back to the ground rules, which is that your questions should be productive and not attacking. If you'd like to request,
As I said,
Right.
I'm very
Let the person come
forward for a union,
Great.
but somebody stole from the co-op.
I think that is an important observation to make.
And that's a hell of a way to start.
Emily, you're next.
That's fine, we're good, okay.
I think you can kind of not thinking of my response, so I'm
You want me to
gonna
put
turn
you
my
back?
time and put me
Okay.
back at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Hi, I'm Amy, I'm a member of the co-op. Generally, I'm very supportive of unions, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. You know, my mom helped organize the nurses union at her hospital in Massachusetts almost 30 years ago. I guess I just had a few things, because part of it is that, you know, as a member who just comes and goes, I don't necessarily understand what created the issues in the first place. And as a member, I would like to understand that more from both sides. And I know we can't necessarily get that done in 30 minutes, so one of my suggestions is I would really love to create a space where the workers and members can sit down together. So I'll fill out one of these. I guess I just really want to understand the workers' concerns and demands. I'd also really like to understand how the store is structured more, because it does say in the bylaws that management can be replaced at the discretion of the board, but then, you know, that makes it seem like it's management and then there's worker owners. And, you know, I don't know how formalized of a structure that is. And I guess my last thing is, you know, to worker owners, you know, I support you guys. The big thing in creating a union is just be careful to not reinforce the hierarchical structures that as a cooperative we're trying to avoid, because sometimes as a union what happens is you really harden the division between workers, management, and board of directors, and I would hate to see that happen. And hopefully we can just avoid that. You know, hopefully we can really support you guys without that happening. So I think that's basically everything I had to say.
Perfect.
You're here.
Marty Mish.
I asked earlier, but I take my 2 minutes now, and that's to say that in my experience, you know, typically I've seen workers form unions, but it's at the end of the road when they feel desperate and with no other recourse, which is why I asked for clarification of the timeline leading up to it and the actions and the lack of good faith conversation between management and workers or not. Because that's, in my experience, that's when workers feel like we have to go on strike, we have to form a union because our voices aren't being heard. I have a real problem with, you know, I heard bylaws can be changed rapidly, but yet the board appoints a worker representative, and, you know, maybe there's justification for saying, well, that's what the bylaws say, but I find it real troubling that the board would not allow the workers to elect a representative to represent them, to fill their board seat. And I don't know if that was a discussion.
Is that a question or comment? Like,
That was,
That's, we're in discussion. So you can go to the staff, they still have 54 more
Yeah.
seconds.
Keep
going.
go,
The board members need to staff their responses as well, so fill out the cards.
The staff is through the person.
I mean, question, answers, period. So if you have answers to questions, write it down and make sure you get to them.
Okay.
I'll throw it back in the pot for now.
Okay. Emily, are you ready, or, okay.
Oh, wow, it's already up.
Do you want me to put?
So, I thoroughly support the Citizens Co-op Workers Union. I believe that they are trying to voice their concerns of what's happening at the co-op. I think that they have petitioned for recognition because it is something that will protect them as they work together. So I think we should support them working together. I think that so far there's been a lot of stuff on Facebook, in responses tonight that are trying to take away the voice of the workers and minimize what they have done to threaten them. I've heard 2 instances of the termination and firing come up. I've heard people call them thieves. These are our friends and the people we work with. These are the people that people see every day. Oh, I am defending myself. And they're the people who interact with you. They keep this place running, and I really put my full support behind them to have a legal representation that has no consequence to the co-op. It really doesn't. The consequence is that workers get to voice their opinions without being, dismissed, fired, just because they might not see eye to eye with someone. So I put the rest of that.
Okay. Ryan?
Yeah, I wanted to read the definition.
Amy?
Okay, I just wanted to kind of come from, like I said at the beginning, I personally feel like I represent a lot of different viewpoints of involvement with the co-op, and I'm feeling a little bit like, not a little bit, it seems like there are sides when you say there's a union and then there's people who are not the union, and one thing that actually my child's caregiver brought up, she said, well, I'm just really confused because from a Marxist perspective, people need to unionize so that, because they don't own the means of production, and in this case, we have people who are owners of the business. And so we need to, everybody who is a worker owner. Everybody who is a member owner. So I'm trying to figure out what that means, and I do want to respond to the statement that, it has no consequence. The union forming has no consequence. We're not actually sure what it means in terms of our pre-existing obligations to other classes of members, like investors, members, worker owners. We have a lot of questions like, can you be an owner with membership status with a seat on the board and also be in a union? Because if you're representing the interest of the union, are you also representing the interest of all the other members, which is a requirement of the bylaws. So personally, I don't care either way. If the workers and the members all want to have a union, go for it. It's your co-op. But we don't really know what it means legally in terms of what we have to do to get there. I also just want to say, it's really difficult for me to read a letter that says, in the beginning we demand something, and then at the end it's in the spirit of cooperation, and then people, just say that we didn't respond. When I personally took hours out of my day, I run a business, I raise a child, I'm trying to feed people in this community, and people say, no, we didn't get a response. When I did respond, and I do take this very seriously. I'm not resigning from the board. Oh, thank you. I'll stack again.
Jeremiah?
I'm Jeremiah Tattersall. I'm here today as a representative from the Florida AFL-CIO. My job is the field staff for the North Central Florida Central Labor Council, which is essentially Marion County all the way up through a little bit south of Jacksonville. AFL-CIO members, I help run their operations. I'm here today because I was contacted by a colleague in the Industrial Workers of the World, Gainesville branch, to come here tonight and speak about unions, what unions are, what they aren't. Here in the conversation, I think everyone has a general sense about what unions are. It's workplace democracy, it's fellow workers getting together, it's illegal, it's something that I think everyone here kind of agrees with. I don't think anyone here, at least I haven't heard so far, is just rah, 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 unions destroyed America, which is what I'm used to hearing in North Central Florida. This is interesting for me to talk about this dinner. What I really want to say, though, is that this is a new union that's forming. And they have a legal right to form, and of the 6 members that I see, 6 or 7? 7 members that have signed onto this letter, that's a supermajority. If there was a secret ballot, they'd probably have a union. There's a lot of legal things that need to be worked out, but what's really important is that the tone of the relationship between the board and the union is being set now. It can be either adversarial or it can be cooperative, and that's really important to take into consideration when we're talking about this right now. And I'll yield the rest of my time back to the stack taker, I guess.
Hi. I used to work at the co-op. I worked there for a year. My name is Trisha. I'd just like to say that I am very much in favor of a union, and not because I don't want us to have an adversarial relationship with the board, but precisely because the worker owners do treat this business like each and every one of them like they own it. I mean, they put in so much work every single day. Like, I watch people who volunteered their time, who did not get paid, who worked after hours, like hours and hours out of the night. So I just think it's really important that as people who are owning this business, who are really helping it run, they feel that they're being heard and that they are being treated fairly, and that they're not in a position to lose something they feel they have ownership over. That's all I wanted to say.
Wait, Stuart? Let's see.
I'm Stuart.